Hi everyone, this is Iceberg, and today I'm reviewing the flagship fully BA IEMs, and that's a Kiwi Ears Orchestra II for $349 with 10 custom BA drivers made specifically for them. Just think about it, 20 BA drivers working together to deliver audiophile sound to your ears. That's fantastic. I'm sure everyone here knows the Orchestra OG from 2023 with 8 BA drivers for $500, so seeing the Orchestra 2 with 10 drivers for $349 shows how far audio technology has come. That's serious value for money, folks. Well, before we get into the details, I wanna give a big shout out to the Kiwi Ears for giving me the opportunity to test the Orchestra 2 and share my impressions with you. As always, my review is my personal, honest opinion, and what you're about to hear is just me, my ears, and my passion for music. So let's get started with this BA monster and begin one by one, starting with the box. Okay, the Orchestra 2 comes in a pretty large box for IEM, with the usual design and a green to orange gradient. On the front we can see an image of the shells, the model name, and the logo. On this side we can see the model configuration, and on the back information about the manufacturer. Inside the box we have the Orchestra 2 shells, a modular 2-pin cable, 3.5 and 4.4mm plugs, several sets of eartips in boxes, a premium spacious Kiwi Ears case, which has definitely been upgraded, and a manual with a warranty. And what's the most unusual is that everything is packed in separate small boxes. Did you see this in other Kiwi Ears models? I didn't. And in terms of unboxing experience, this model probably gave me the most newness and impressions. Okay, let's talk about the cable, and the first thing you notice here is that aesthetically matches with the IEM in colors. This is 4-core cable with 2-pin connectors and color indicators, metal fittings, and a model connection that allows you to swap between 3.5 and 4.4mm plugs for a wider range of usage. To the touch it feels flexible, playable, and reliable cable, without microphone effect or a feel of cheapness. And I'm pretty sure you don't need to replace it with more expensive audiophile cables. Speaking of ear tips, we finally got an upgrade, and I hope our ears won't hurt anymore. Okay, in the first box we have two sets of ear tips, rounded transparent one with a narrow bore and the grey ones with a red bore, in the standard size that we'd already seen. I didn't find a suitable pair here, so let's move on to the next box. Here we see a completely new tips, low profile black ones with a wide bore and taller grey ones with the same bore, which fit perfectly, provide a rich and wide sound as well as good isolation. That's why I choose them. Returning to the shells, this is a truly creative engineering, where you can literally see how much attention Kiwi Ears pay to detail, and everything was done by hand. Alright, thanks to the transparent resin, we can clearly see the layout of the BA inside, where they are separated by a 4-way crossover for acoustic isolation of each section. Yeah, these tubes connecting to the nozzle are the crossover, which delivers isolated sound. The faceplate design has a gorgeous glittering pattern in the form of snakeskin texture, which catches the light beautifully. The combination of the transparent shell and this glittering panel gives the Orchestra 2 a premium, gel-like appearance. On the inside we can see the transparent nozzle, which is quite tall and wide, with 3 tubes, and I was like, what the fuck, 3 tubes and there are 4-way crossover here? But then I realized that most likely the high and ultra high region here are connected together and go to one tube, but never mind. On the side we can see the 2-pin connector in line with the shells, and there are no vents here, because the BA doesn't need to exhale air. Looking at the shells you may think they are pretty bulky, and they are, because it's 10 BA configuration. But what's interesting is that the shape inside is very sleek, with no sharp corners, and I found them surprisingly comfy for my small ears. So they fit securely and tightly inside my ears, protruding significantly and creating a vacuum effect due to the lack of vents. In fact, I was able to wear them for many hours, just adjusting a few times, but without any discomfort or pressure. However, the fit is highly individual, so your experience might be different. In terms of isolation, they are excellent, where external sound simply disappears, and this makes them suitable for loud environments, such as transport, on where you wanna focus on listening. While moving on to the graph, I wanna take the entire orchestra family to understand what we get with the new model. And for clarity, the green curve is for Orchestra II. So first, in the new model, we get significantly enhanced bass, and here is more than the graph actually shows. The lower and the mid-range here are slightly recessed, which can make the sound in this region smoother, but more distant. And the rise in the upper mid-range is the highest among the rest, giving even more presence and articulation to the vocals and instruments. The treble region in the Orchestra II is the darkest, but at the same time is extended and airy, due to the peak at the 15k Hz, though I like the other option in the region more. Overall, based only on a graph, I wouldn't say that the Orchestra II is the most neutral and smooth out of 3, but it does fix the lack of the bass, somewhat emphasize the treble, and simply makes a versatile, exciting tuning with improved technicality by adding 2 armatures. But has Orchestra II really upgraded the sound in reality? Let's find it out. Okay, let's start from the very beginning, from the moment I first put the Orchestra II in my ears and pressed play. And here, guys, to be honest, it took me a couple of minutes to realize what I'm hearing, because it was kinda unexpected. You know, when you test new IEMs, you usually have certain expectation of what you wanna hear. So with the 10 BA drivers per side, I expect either first an aggressive and analytical presentation, or second, some inconsistency between drivers, some crossover artifacts, maybe a little artificiality in the timbre. I was really ready for the BA sound with all its pros and cons. But what really hooked me in the first few minutes is their naturalness and emotional involvement. The first track I played was Heart by Johnny Cash, and guys, it gave me goosebumps, literally goosebumps. His voice is so present, so real, that I felt every pain and regret in his performance. Next I played The Way by Marquesser Orchestra and literally froze for a second. The instruments and the vocals sound so natural, so organic, just like the real, that I completely forgot I'm using a fully BA IEMs. It's fantastic. After several hours of listening, I started to understand the character of the Orchestra II more clearly, and I would describe the sound signature as neutral warm, reference grade with the soul, and excellent technicality. Surprisingly, for 10 drivers per side, it sounds very coherent and seamless, with no noticeable peaks, dips, or transition between the ranges. Each just flows naturally from the bass to mid-range to treble, like a single voice. So let's finally talk about what we've seen on the graph, and can a full BA configuration really make a bass. And honestly, I was really surprised at how deep and confident the Orchestra II goes. The sub-bass here is impressive, with a deep, evil rumble that has a really authority for full BA IEMs. Of course, it's not the same sound pressure that with a good DD, but it's very close in texture and character. But the mid-bass is where the Orchestra II really excels. It's impactful like a DD, controlled like a BA, and articulated like a good multi-driver. Bass guitar in rock and metal sound clear, detailed, and perfectly separated from the other instruments here. The drums sounds full-bodied, punchy, and resonant, with a skin of texture and plenty of the reverberation in the space. The bass drum kicks in hip-hop, for example in Still DRE by Dr. Dre, are quite fast, dense and precise. Yeah, there is no fixed slam that real bass head chase, but the quality and control are just excellent. I saw that some folks complained about what they called the BA timbre in the bass of armature drivers, so I'm happy to say I didn't hear in the Orchestra II at all. The bass sound natural and organic, like in good DD, just with more control. Apparently the custom BA drivers from Kiwi Ears really do perform above and beyond the usual level here. Okay guys, if there is one thing that Kiwi Ears consistently does perfectly across its entire lineup, that would be a mid-range, and in Orchestra 2, that's they were excel. The mid-range has a pleasant warmth, natural timbre and tonal accuracy, yet it's lively, detailed and nicely textured. It neither push forward nor recessed, but simply sits perfectly inside the track. Vocal tracks are where I spend most of my time, and it was just wow, where both male and female voices sounds fantastic. The female voice is light, silky, delicate, but a little thin, but the male voice is on contrasty, velvety, wagey, with rich overtones, but not thin and nasal. For male vocals, I listen to What a Wonderful World by Louis Armstrong, and his deep, husky voice had incredibly present and wage, with the mids having enough warmth to make the vocals feel natural and organic without being colored. The instrument sounds equally phenomenal here. I listen to The Silence by Manchester Orchestra, where the piano, guitar and drums all had the perfect wage, texture and space with impressive details. The guitar work is especially enjoyable. Both acoustic and electric guitars have the excellent timbre, and you can clearly hear the resonance of the strings. The treble in the Orchestra II is what I would call extended, airy and smooth, but without any wow effect. It's not bright or aggressive delivery, but definitely not a dark or cut off. Let me explain. The treble has excellent extension and air without turning into harshness or sibilance, where cymbals, strings, violin and hi-hats show their sparkling brilliance with the proper decay, but never becoming piercing or tiring. They are very detailed, where you can hear the subtle details of instruments movement or vocal intonation that less resolving IEMs simply lose. One thing I really appreciate is how the Kiwi Ears handled the 3 to 5 kHz range, where some IEMs can sound shrill or harsh, but the Orchestra 2 keeps everything smooth and organic. If you like well-defined treble that reveals micro details and brings tracks back to the life, then the orchestra does their job very well. However, if you prefer a brighter, more exciting treble presentation, then the Orchestra 2 may seem a little relaxed for you. It's not boring, nah, but they're definitely tuned for long-term listening enjoyment rather than initial wow effect. The soundstage in the Orchestra 2 is above average for full BA IEMs. It's not huge, but it's definitely not intimate or congested. It has everything. Good width, with sound located at the edge of your perception, depth that give you a sense of layering between the foreground and background, and a decent height that provides vertical presence, though not the highest I ever heard. The separation here is excellent, so even in dense tracks, individual instruments keep their own space and have a slight pauses between each other, and the imaging accuracy is much higher than average. The positioning of the instrument is precise and consistent, allowing you to pinpoint exactly where each element sits in the wide sound stage. This makes the Orchestra 2 excellent for complex, dense tracks, where you need to keep an eye of several details at once. Alright, I'd like to compare the Orchestra 2 with the ZiiGaat Luna for $379 with 6BA configuration. And the first thing you need to understand here is there are two completely different sound concepts, despite having similar price range and drivers. The Luna is a studio monitor with perfect neutrality and excellent accuracy, like an audiophile microscope, which is also nice to listen to. They are tuned to ZiiGaat's own target curve with an 8 dB sub-bass shelf and a kind of flat mids, like a studio monitor. They have a wow factor thanks to their characteristic delivery, reference studio sound and excellent detail. The Orchestra 2 is a musical device, but it's also technically accurate. They are tuned with the music lovers in mind who wanna hear music as it was intended, but with emotional engagement. Personally for me, I would keep both guys. Seriously, they complement each other perfectly. Orchestra 2 for emotional experience, and Luna for working with the music, for extreme analysis, and for precision. In conclusion, after hundreds of hours with the Orchestra 2, I can honestly say these are some of the best and most versatile IEMs I ever had. In the insanely competitive IEM market, where every week there is some new flagship killer coming out, the Orchestra 2 stands out because it does everything right. 10 custom BA drivers, reference sound, excellent build quality, a bunch of accessories, and a $349 price tag. I think this is one of the best deals of 2025. They deliver natural timbre, stunning detail without losing musicality, perfect coherence and versatility. And the most important elevation is that, like a good wine, they only get better with the time. At first they just feel good and natural, and then they quietly become your everyday go-to choice. Background music, just in the evening, work, gaming, long albums, and they excel in every scenarios. It's a rare case where IEM stop being just a device and simply merge with your ears. My final rating is solid 9 out of 10. At $349, it's one of the best value for money option on the market right now. A full unconditional recommendation if you are looking for tonal accuracy, naturalness and technicality beyond just a wow effect from the very first second. This is the last review in 2025. It was a truly crazy but so interesting year, and we definitely learned a lot of there. Thank you all for being with me. Hit a like if you enjoyed this review and subscribe to the channel, that would be a best gift for me. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year! I'll see you guys in 2026 and hopefully it will be a little calmer. Take care, stay awesome, this was Iceberg and bye bye.